Hello and welcome to episode 312 of the Board Game Barrage podcasts. My name is Mark, also known as the Green Tank, and I'm joined by Kellen, also known as the Red Tank.
AKA, that's me.
AKA, and back from his trips abroad, Neelan, AKA the Orange Tank.
Hello. I'm back.
I detect a husk in your voice.
You
already have a husky voice, but an even huskier.
Many a late night in Europe. Many a
That's
rendezvous.
exactly it. Yeah.
Clubs of Amsterdam. Neelan was
Nope.
dancing nights away.
I'm going to apologize up front for what is definitely a creeping in sickness that I caught on the plane back. So you can enjoy that.
Oh, is this where we don't tell people what you have?
I have COVID, which is
What's that? Never heard
exciting.
What? Can you get that over the radio waves?
So, it is that time of year again. Big time in the board gaming world. It is Spiel time. The winners of the Spiel des Jahres and Spiel des Jahres Kennerspiel and Kinderspiel have all been announced. We are going to be talking about that, but we're also going to be throwing in a little drafty draft. So that is, longtime listeners will know, a chance to hear us draft. In this case, we're going to be drafting...
Long-time listeners? We did one 4 weeks ago, Mark.
Yeah, but long-time listeners also. This is a long-time thing. We got to encourage people to go into the backlog.
Sorry. I've been gone. I've forgotten how this all works.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're fulfilling a Kellen-like role, making fun of Mark.
And so we are going to be drafting from every winner of any Kinder, or Spiel winner in the past. All of them are up for grabs. We're going to be drafting 5 each, and then you can go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft, pick the list that you like the best, and we'll randomly be picking a winner and giving that person a $50 gift certificate to the online gaming store of their choice.
Mark,
you can... What?
we doubled this.
No, we did not. It was a one-time doubling.
Inflation has happened,
it's
Mark.
All right, well, then you have to sell our Patreon in the middle.
You said drafty draft, doubly,
you have to sell.
$100 prize.
Goodness.
Whoa.
Kellen just drops this, doesn't tell us anything. We agree on a certain number, and Kellen just comes in blazing, just
I got the credit
throwing
card,
his
baby.
money around.
Actually,
Yeah, exactly.
Neelan also has the credit card because he charges his personal travel to it.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I made the mistake of accidentally booking, what was it, Airbnb on the Board Game Barrage credit card by
He
mistake.
said, if you see a $800 charge, Kellen, just ignore it, bro.
Oh, my God.
And I said, what?
Neelan is making $800 charges. Kellen is throwing out $100 per draft. And as Neelan just said, we do drafts all the time. So pretty soon the coffers, we need more patrons for sure. Anyhow, so we're going to be doing that. But before we do that, we're going to be talking about the games we've been playing recently. Kellen is going to be talking about the latest hotness, chess. Yes, I said chess, as well as Vabanque. And then I'll be talking about a couple games myself, Path of Civilization and the Mandalorian Adventures, a game that has yet to be even released, and yet Kellen is coming in here with chess. I've got the tip of the blade there, the brand newest new, and Kellen says, can I talk about chess?
Okay, look, I wanted to come in and be talking about Arcs this episode. Let's be real. I played a game of it. I really was looking forward to playing another game of this with Kellen and Christina over the weekend. That didn't happen. I apologize. I am very sick.
He got sick. That's why I had to play chess this weekend.
We
Instead
will
of
be
Arcs.
talking about Arcs in the future.
All right, Kellen, tell us about,
right.
let me read this again, chess.
Let me take you back to 1475.
Whoa! All right. I'm in. This is my thing right here. I love this.
No,
Spiel
I know.
winner 1475.
That's all I know because I looked it up on BGG. No, I had the opportunity to teach Christina chess for the first time this past weekend, and it was a more interesting experience than I expected. I grew up playing chess. At one point, I was in a chess club. That's an unfortunate thing to reveal live on a podcast, but it did happen. I can confirm. I think it was middle school, but I have never been a very good chess player. I think my highest ELO was in the 12 to 1400s at any people who are super hardcore chess. ELO is a ranking system to determine how good you are. I believe grandmasters are in the 25, 26, 2700, but I could be wrong. Mark, you watch chess.
Yeah, that's right.
Could you beat me? Are you better than 1200 ELO?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I haven't played enough online to get an idea of what my ELO would be. I'm guessing it would be in the low between 1,000 and 1,200. I'm sure you're a better player than I am.
I very much doubt it because what was interesting to me was sort of kind of explaining the early, mid, and late game of chess and sort of using other board game terms to kind of, she's like, why would I ever want to trade pieces? And I'm like, well, if you're up in tempo or, like explaining the sort of relative value of the pieces. So the rules of chess are like quite simple, but then, it sort of expands outward from there. She hated it. Hated it. And to be fair, I think chess is not a game that we would historically play. I was also teaching her rules as we went and sort of being like trying to put her in positions where I could en passant her or en passant and then castle. And she's like, what the are you, you're making up rules as we go. Do you guys know, is en passant, is that just like to prevent a degenerate state or like an extra, because it's a sort of ability for a pawn to kill diagonally if someone does the double jump. I think it's just like to prevent weird states. I don't actually know though.
I don't think I know either, but I think like a lot of rules in chess, it's probably more arbitrary than you would think.
Yeah. No, it was just a fascinating experience and one that I'm curious if we will revisit at all. My guess is we might once or twice. I bought a little travel chess set with magnetic pieces on Amazon, so that's going to be coming on our upcoming family travel trip. But it immediately made me remember everything I like and don't like about chess, which is essentially like the end of the game feels really fun and creative, and the beginning of the game feels really super, super scripted and boring. And ultimately, all you're doing is sort of setting up the scaffolding for future turns that I just find super, super unsatisfying. But it does make me sit there and think about people who devote their entire board gaming time or hobby to just one game, like chess or Go. And, I wonder what kind of fun we could have with mastery. But I just don't know that any of us would ever, like, go there, What's the closest any of us have gotten to that level of sort of dedication? Mark, pretends that it's Biblios, but he doesn't even have a rank in that one. Neelan, Netrunner maybe for you, or no, not even close?
I mean, the only thing I would say would be like, I mean, mastery is so far from how I describe this in the least, but the game I probably played the most of in my top 50 is Through the Ages, I guess, if you counting digital games. But even then, I don't think I'm incredibly good at it or anything like that.
I'm sort of dealing with this myself right now because I'm considering joining the World Series of Board Game competition in a couple months.
Oh, no,
and so
Mark.
What? Our friends from Shut Up and Sit Down are going to be there.
Yeah, but they're not paying. They're paying for all of them to go.
That's true.
You got to tease them. You got to hold out. You got to say maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm going to be walking away with all their money. So
that's true. But you have to learn how to play Terraforming Mars well.
I don't. Yeah, that is a problem. But so I've sort of been starting to try to get into the hardcore scene in some of these games and play high level. And, it's interesting. It opens up a whole new sort of horizon of ways to play the game and, diving into like strategies and stuff like that. On the other hand, it does kill one aspect of the game where now you start feeling like you won't play it casually so much. It's what you've talked about, Kellen, the whole thing about the Smash Brothers situation where you've got a friend who goes home and practices and now when you guys get together, you can't even really play that game anymore. So that's something I'm a little concerned about. But I don't think I have mastery of any games really.
Yeah, I don't. No comments on World Series of Board Gaming.
I think BGA has allowed not mastery, like the ability to dive deep into games you otherwise might not because of how hard it is to corral friends and to get time together. While I haven't really gone for mastery of these games, I know I have a new appreciation of games like Splendor and Azul from playing them so often on BGA and, naturally sort of picking up strategies.
I stumbled into a tournament for, I think this is a BGA only game, Reflection, like that soda game where you place the mirrors and the lasers and things, and I was shocked, absolutely shocked at how phenomenally good people are at that game. Like, it blew my mind.
I think there's sort of what you learn in one play, what you learn in 5 to 10 plays, and then you get somewhere 20 plus, and you're like, oh, there's actually more here, but probably most board gamers never get there with even their most favorite Splendors and Azuls or things like that. The only one that I've been tempted by is Go. I think every couple of years I go, I'm gonna be a Go guy. You know what I mean? It never happens. I get a different app each time. So the onboarding for any of these apps has never worked for me. So that's what Go is missing, is a good app onboarding for me. But the other game that I wanted to just briefly mention, which I've covered previously, is a Bruno Faiduti game. It is Vabanque. And I think this is an old game that I don't know if it's coming back, but I feel the rumblings of people like this. People think this is such a stupid game. And last time I played it, I think I played it only at 3 or 4, and it definitely deserves to be played at 5 or 6 players. It is a gambling, bluffing, stupid game where like your ability to predict anything is pretty close to LOL random. So reading some of the reviews on Vabanque is funny, but essentially you're laying out chips in a grid. Everyone's taking turns choosing where they want to put the money. Then everyone is putting down their cards. Well, actually, what is the order? The rulebook is not written in English, so I can't remember. Ultimately, you are laying down cards, moving your pawn, and placing money chips out, and your cards double a payout for a spot, or they like steal all the money from other players who would land at that spot, or they do nothing. So basically, it's this game of chicken and turn order, where you're like, is Mark doubling that 50 that he put there, or is that his trap card and I go there and he's going to get me? So it's that meta game where ultimately you can't know anything, but you're just sort of boisterously playing. It's casino themed. It has really brilliant components. It's like a party game for board gamers who are totally okay with the just sort of silly stupidity of it, but it does have these moments that are just ridiculous. We had a really degenerate game state in the last game I played of it where 3 players ended up in an alliance versus 3 other players, and just like based on where they were on the board, everyone was sort of either helping or hurting each other, and one alliance definitely the other alliance and then won the game like without much challenge. It's all over in 30 minutes or less. I see this one as sort of that cult classic status. Mark, I think you should absolutely try this. Neelan, you could be there, maybe not with COVID. I think you might like it, but Mark, I could see you. This just feels like something you pull out. This feels like something, and again, not to like, Cole Worley has a couple of these where he's like, you want to play a weird game, and you're like, and it's just like weird and old and dumb, but everybody like loves it because of that. Yeah. Like that's Vabanque. Again, it's Bruno Faiduti, so it's not super off the ranch, but very interesting. One I can't quite wrap my head around, and one that I think we should all play together with 2 others just to like cap off a game night. And my guess is we'll all be screaming at each other within like 12 minutes and having a grand old time.
By the look of it, you sort of, what is it, Las Vegas Royale or Las Vegas, whatever the game is.
Yeah, it's casino fun themed, and the poker chips are great because they're stacked appropriately. So the 5 is like yay big, then the 10 is double, then the 20 is double that, and then the 50 is huge. So like when you get a 50, you know, you really want it, basically.
Yeah.
You know, so that it's like a giant bag of, it's so impractical, right? Because like this is the bag of chips for 4 rounds. Look at how big those 50s are.
Yeah.
Like, Mark,
makes you feel like a big man when you have one of those 50s, right, Colin?
Well, I always feel like a big man. Like Big Red. But that is Vabanque, a game you've never heard of, and Chess, a game I hope you've heard of, 1475. So you're a little behind the take.
A couple of games I want to talk about. First, fairly briefly, is a game that I don't believe is available quite yet. We got this as a review copy from Unexpected Games. This is The Mandalorian: Adventures, designed by Corey Kineska and Josh Bepler. This is a game that reminds me right off the bat of the Adventure Book series of games by Ravensburger that have come out over the last couple of years. There's a Princess Bride, a Wizard of Oz, and a Lord of the Rings adventure book game. The main reason is because both those games, and this one features the maps that are sort of like in spiral bound books. So instead of setting up a map, you just flip to the next chapter of the game, and the map is printed in the book, and all you do is sort of set up your pieces on top of the map printed on the book, which is something I've really enjoyed whenever I've encountered it. It's kind of nice to not have to worry about setting up a whole board or unfolding a board. And just, you've got the book, and you just open it up to the right page. And from there, you set up, at least in the Mandalorian Adventures, you set up pieces that are specific to that adventure. So adventure number 1, you'll have one set of pieces that you place face down or face up on the board. And then chapter 2 will have their own unique pieces in 3 and 4 and so on. And then at least for the first run through, you're encouraged to play with the characters from the series that correspond to that level. So in the first level that I played, I was using the Mandalorian and IG-11. Now, forgive me if I've gotten anything wrong here, because I actually have not watched The Mandalorian all the way through, so I'm not familiar with the characters as much as I think a lot of people who are interested in this game might be. So you've got the characters. You can play this game solo or cooperatively. I've played it now both ways, and it's got a pretty interesting system of play. So what it boils down to is you'll have a deck of cards that represents the different actions you can take, and they break down into 4 different sort of actions. There is movement, combat, what is called intel, and planning. And every card you have will have a number, at least for me at this point in the game, and more on this later, but there's more content that is unlocked as you play it. But all the cards in the game that you're playing with have a number between 1 and 4. And so if you want to take a specific action, every round you'll be taking 2 actions. And if I want to take a movement action and I place my 3 card on there, I get basically 3 movement points to spend. And if I put a 2 card on combat, I have a combat strength 2 that I'm using. A lot of cards will have text written on them or bonuses if you use them in specific slots. So some cards may have like a 1, but it'll say like if this card is used in combat, +2, it counts as +2. Or if this card is used in intel, some other benefit fires off. The other side to that, though, is that at the end of every round, again, you play 2 cards per round, and you can't play them in the same slot, so you can't go movement, or anything like that. Every round, you will not remove the cards as you play them, so if I play that 2 movement, it'll stay there until, at the end of any round, if any of the columns have a value of 5 or more, that'll trigger negative effects from your opponents. So it's this balance of like, yeah, I want to use these really strong cards, I want to use my 4s, I want to use my 3s, but there's obviously the timing of when you want to use them. And there's also the consideration of if I place my 4 or my 3 and I already have a 3 on there, then I am now exceeding the threshold and something bad's going to happen. Furthermore, if you land any column exactly on 5, there's a negative thing that happens. But if you exceed 5, there's a secondary negative thing that happens. So you want to try to make sure that you hit 5 whenever you exceed, because while there may be a negative effect, it'll be less bad than if you go 6 or higher. So that was an interesting sort of consideration to make whenever I was sort of planning out my turns. This works both as a co-op and solo. I've really enjoyed it as a solo. Again, I like the fact that I can just, take this spiral bound book out and just flip it to the page I'm on and go from there. As I mentioned, there is an unlocking sort of thing. So when you go from one mission to the next, you're going through this stack of cards, and I'll say, if you're successful, then do this. If you're not successful, do that. And more cards are introduced in the game. There are 8 characters to choose from, and I guess if you want to, you can choose whatever characters you want rather than take the ones that are suggested. I'm trying to go through it first time through as sort of suggested, but so far I've really liked it. It's a really fun, interesting sort of puzzle, both puzzling out how to accomplish your mission, and the missions can vary from round to round or from mission to mission as to what you're trying to do, but also the internal mission of like how to play these power cards in a way that you get to do what you want, but without exceeding this 5-point threshold and having bad things happen. It's also, there are 3 difficulty levels. I'm playing it now on sort of like the hard level, but not the super hard level, and it has been challenging, so I'm happy that that's the case. It's not been a game that has been a pushover at all. I think I'm winning somewhere in there would have like 40% of my game, so that's a pretty good clip, I think, when it comes to co-op games. So I would say that if you're a fan of this is not a legacy game. It's certainly not a legacy game. You don't need to unlock things gradually, and unlike other legacy games that sort of say that they're not legacy games because you can play the final board as often as you want, play Pandemic Legacy, and whatever the resulting board is, you can play that forever, which I think in practice isn't really the case. This seems much more of maybe a campaign system, but I can definitely see myself playing this in the future, just mixing everything in it and going for it. In fact, it says, like, if you want to just open things up and mix it in and just go from the start, feel free to. So, yeah, if you liked those adventure book games from Ravensburger, or maybe Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, although that feels like it's a bigger thing, but that's sort of like pretty contained experience with this interesting card management dynamic. So far, the Mandalorian Adventures has been a pretty successful for me. So that is the Mandalorian Adventures from Unexpected Games and designed by Corey Kineska and Josh Bepler. The other game I played was Path of Civilization. This is by Fabian Griddle and published by Captain Games. So I'd heard Path of Civilization was, to use a Kellenism that I've grown fond of, 7 Wonders plus plus. Did I use that right, Kellen?
Well, you got it.
Perfect. That's not necessarily the biggest draw for me in terms of like a single statement of what a game is, but it was interesting. And so for what it's worth, the gameplay loop in Path of Civilization is certainly straightforward in a 7 Wonders-y sort of way. The game lasts 9 rounds. Each round you're doing the same thing. You're going to start with a hand of 5 cards. You're going to play 4 to your board and discard 1. That's what you're doing every round. Play 4 to your board, discard 1. Based on the cards you've played to your board, you're going to be accruing either cubes or moving up various tech tracks, depending on where you place the card. So you're going to place 4 on your board. 2 on the left are going to give you cubes based on what they say. The 2 on the right are going to move you up these science tech tracks. You're going to be using one type of cube to buy Wonders of the World, which give you immediate passive or end-of-game bonuses. You're going to use another type of cube to purchase leaders, which will give you the same sort of benefits, while you sort of can stack the wonders and just buy wonder after wonder. Whenever you purchase a new leader, it replaces the current one. And then you're going to use a third type of cube to progress what's called the philosophy track, which is going to grant you even more immediate benefits as well as end-of-game scoring. And so that's how you use the cubes. You're buying leaders, you're buying Wonders of the World, and you're moving up this philosophy track. On the other hand, you're going to use progress on these science tech tracks to buy more of these cards. You know, I mentioned that you're going to place your cards at the beginning of each of the 9 rounds. You're going to start with 5, place 4, dump 1. Well, this is how you get more cards. Each round, you must spend some amount of your tech points to buy a single card from the array, which is going to give you an immediate bonus when you buy the card, but also now becomes the 5th card you have to consider every round when you play 4, dump 1. Finally, at the end of most rounds of the game, there's going to either be this challenge or a military battle that everyone takes part in. The challenges are going to reward you for having a certain suit of cards. So one challenge may be for every blue card you have in your array, be it wonders or leaders or science cards, you're going to get some amount of victory points and potentially benefits. Other rounds, if they're not the challenge rounds, are going to be these military battles where you're going to get, based on who's built up the best military. Again, your benefits are going to be points and other sort of like buffs to your engine. So no real like military destroying anything of that sort happening. You're going to do this for 9 rounds, and the player with most victory points wins. A couple of nice aspects of the game. On the table, it looks like a lot. More about that when I come to the negatives. And there was certainly some level of intimidation setting it up and teaching it. When we were getting it out, it took a while to get everything set up. And I was concerned that, like, oh my gosh, I think I know this game. I think I've got it down enough to teach it. But God, there are a lot of things going on, and it's sort of intimidating. But once we started getting going and playing it, it really, really flowed smoothly. Really, really simple. There were very few questions to ask. Again, you might not tell us looking at it, but it does really, really fly. And that is because, in addition to being really straightforward in general, in terms of like the turn loop and everything, like the aforementioned 7 Wonders, almost everything is done simultaneously, which is nice. When it comes to the purchasing of things that are limited, like leaders or wonders, there's a set price on the card. So, you know, Thomas Edison or whatever has a set like 4 cubes to buy Thomas Edison. And if ever two players want...
cheap.
Yeah, I know. Can you believe it? There's also a Gil Bates. For some reason, there's a lot, like everybody has real names, but Bill Gates, they had to obfuscate to Gil Bates. I don't know why.
He's alive. I've worked with lawyers in a similar but not the same industry, and I can tell you that it's better if they're dead.
Okay. I will note that one for my files.
Yeah, they'll use that as the pull quote.
Yeah, and I also will snip you saying that.
Oh, no, please don't do that.
So if me and Kellen are fighting over Gil Bates, which we inevitably would be, everything takes place simultaneously. And so if I say I'll pay 4 for Gil and Kellen says he'll pay 4 for Gil, the way the tiebreakers work on anything is you look at each player's player board and they have this ranking of the suits. So I might have an advantage on red over Kellen, and so if Gil is red, I get him. But if he's blue and Kellen's board says he has a priority on blue, then he gets him. So everything is sort of like built in, and so the simultaneous stuff works even when it comes to limited resources. You also get a sense of getting better and better, which is something you generally want from engine builders. Again, each person starts with pretty paltry starting cards, the same 5 starting cards. And you might think that in a game that lasts 9 rounds where you're only buying approximately 9 cards, you can't really get that much better. But there's quite a variety of cards, and the cards do different things. So by the end, the players do feel different. And there is a chance to significantly, bulk up how many resources you're getting per round. So there is, that inherent engine building thing is nice. On the other hand, it is a lot. It certainly is a lot. So far, I've played all my games in a single session, so it might be easier to set up and get going with experience, but there are a lot of bits to set up and organize. For what it's worth, the storage system that comes with the game seems like it'll be helpful in reducing that setup time going forward, but it just took us so long to get that first game going. For a game that flies, while it's nice that the game goes quickly from turn to turn, when you balance that with how long it takes to set up, it's sort of annoying. But anyhow, also there's limited interaction. As I mentioned, the warfare isn't very confrontational. And, whenever, again, you and another player are after something, you just look at their suit chart and things are settled. That makes for interesting decisions on its own, but also makes the game feel a little sterile. You got tracks and cubes for everything all over the place. And so all that combines to, I think, take away from the civilization theming. It feels much more like a track and cube pusher, albeit a very well-honed and crafted one, more than anything that really feels like you're building a civilization, but that's probably fine for a lot of people. So I'd say, yeah, if you're looking for a slightly more advanced Seven Wonders and you want that quick simultaneous play and that engine building with the slightest veneer of civilization building, then Path of Civilization might fit the bill. If you want a civvy sort of game, anywhere approaching something that feels like 4X like, then probably not going to be the game for you in the end. So that is Path of Civilization by Fabian Gradel and published by Captain Games.
I keep hoping to find that Civ-themed game that feels on the slightly lighter end than something like a Through the Ages all the way up to like a Civilization. That they always seem to do basically come down to just being track games, and it's always a bummer.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Again, it's really nice how quickly and how smoothly the game flows. But yeah, there are way too many tracks and cubes to make it really feel like you're doing any exploration or real fighting or anything.
Yeah, it wasn't the cubes and the tracks. It was Gil Bates that ruined the immersion for me. I think he'd grant you the rights so you didn't have to call him Gil Bates.
All right, it's been a little while since we read a review, so why not do that here? So this is a review we got fairly recently. This is from A. Junis, whose name rings a bell from our Discord, so thank you for the review, A. Junis. Podcast with a Punch, Board Game Barrage, is my favorite podcast to listen to when kicking back and enjoying a Frox, F-R-O, with, what are those called, umlauts?
No,
Little dots.
In Afrikaans it would be a dubbelteken, but I don't know what it is in another language.
What is it in Afrikaans?
Dubbelteken?
Okay, so it's F-R-O double-teken C-C-S.
What
I'm going to say
are you
Frox.
two talking about?
We're talking about language. We're talking about the beauty of languages from around the world. So enjoying a Frox. The hosts complement each other perfectly like wine and soda water in a Kiss Frox. I prefer it with red wine. How do you like your Kiss Frox, Kellen? More of a red wine guy, more of a Merlot Kiss Frox?
I think you both made this up before the episode started. I was a few minutes late. And they're just goofing with me. Who is this person that you made up?
This is A. Junis from our Discord.
Yeah. How you
Topics.
reorganized those letters. And
Callan, if you thought the Frox stuff was over, you have not read this review yet. Because next line, topics are never bland like a sports Frox. I do find my sport Frox a little on the bland side. And the best discussions go hard like a Crudy Frox. I think we all can agree that Crudy Frox is the best.
is this comparing us to like hard alcohol?
It's comparing us to a Crudy Frox.
Yeah,
So
Mark, you've
take
said
for
that
a while.
before. What are you repeating yourself?
I know, but I like Crudy Frox.
No, you don't even know what you're saying.
I love a Crudy Frox. Everyone knows that
Stop-
about me.
stop
You
it.
should also check the Discord and try your luck in the contest. That is something we have going on every year where our listeners challenge each other not to buy any games for the entirety of the year and have fun trying to incentivize the other ones to drop out by buying a game. Sort of reminds me of the challenge episode from Seinfeld, if folks know that. So thank you, A. Junis, for that review. If you want to help the show, there's a lot of ways you can do it, including leaving a review. As I said in the past, it helps raise the profile of the show and get other people to find it and listen to it. And also, more importantly to me, whenever I see an alert that we have a new review that is positive, always brightens my day. It always makes me feel good. So I'm going to shamelessly ask for more reviews if you all would be so kind. Another way you can help the show is by joining our Patreon. That is at boardgamebarrage.com/Patreon or patreon.com/boardgamebarrage. Callan's out here throwing out hundreds of dollars per draft, so we need to replenish the very, very, slight coffers that we can never build up because Mr. Moneybags here is doubling our prize money for everything we do. So you can, in addition to doing that, more importantly, we have a ton
double
of...
it again, Mark?
No.
You dare me?
No, do not do it. No.
How many
Callan,
frocks have you had today, Mark?
Not enough to warrant you doubling the prize
All
money
right,
again.
not this time, but I'm a man of the people, so I won't hesitate in the future.
But more importantly, we have a ton of bonus content. We release 2 bonus episodes a month at least, and so there's a lot of fun stuff there. We're going to be recording another one as soon as we finish this episode. So, a lot of stuff there if you enjoy the show, a chance to hear us talk about mainly non-board game related things, but also board game stuff there as well. So, thank you so much for listening and supporting the show. It means a ton to us. Now on to the main topic, the Spiel and our Spiel draft. Before we get into that, let's talk about the results of this year's Spiel des Jahres.
Drum roll, please. Because no one looked this up. And there was nothing more important going on in the world over the past week. So,
Yeah. We have our priorities in order. So, we had, I won't even go over the Kinderspiel because it is the children's game, which is something
Magic
we generally
Keys.
The Magic Keys by, Callan, you want to read the name of the designers there?
Buvos Kovac plus 3
Wrong.
more.
You're reading
no,
I don't know.
I was reading
yes.
the alternate. I was reading the alternate names,
Okay.
Mark. All of their names. Marcus Slotchek. Arno Steinwender.
Yes.
Ian Paravel. Camila Peru. Published by Happy Babov. BlackRock Games. Game Factory. Gem Club and
Okay,
Hachette.
all right.
Board Games. Benelux.
Okay. All right. I've created a monster. So, Children's Game of the Year, Magic Keys. The runners-up were Big Little Gems by Wolfgang Warsch and Taco Cat Pizza Jr. by Dave Campbell and Thierry Denol. I am not familiar with any of these, although I have seen Taco Cat Pizza something. I think there's a slightly different main version of it, but I have not played any of these games. Have you played any of these games?
No. Neon, you have
Okay.
children.
No, I have not. I
Perhaps your children have. Perhaps the children that you do not visit enough have played these games.
Possibly.
Yeah,
Buy
check in with them and then
Magic
get back to
Keys.
us next week.
Oh, Magic Keys looks awesome.
All right.
Oh, wow. The board is the game, and there's little magic gems, and there's a princess. Oh, my God.
All right. Well, Dice Tower West, we'll have to check it out in the library.
Oh, wow. This
All
does
right.
look cool.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you guys.
Mark, we're not above being children.
No,
What
it's
happened
true.
to
No.
your inner childlike spirit? When did it die?
After I had my first Crudy frocks. For the Game of the Year, the Kennerspiel des Jahres, winner was E-Mission, also known as, what is the American title?
Daybreak.
Daybreak. Oh, yes. Daybreak. This is by Matt Leacock and Matteo Menepace and published by Schmidt and CMYK. Runners-up were Guild of Merchant Explorers by Matthew Dunson and Brett Gilbert, and Ticket to Ride Legacy, Legends of the West, also by Matt Leacock and Rob Davio and Alan R. Moon. Have you played any of these games?
I quite like Guild of Merchant Explorers a lot. I think it's excellent. This is a maybe 3 years ago US release, but I think it's quite lovely as a little roll and write adjacent type of game. I'm kind of surprised. I feel like the jury on Ticket to Ride Legacy was pretty middling.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. I was surprised to see it nominated. But I see the appeal. Obviously, Ticket to Ride is a huge game, and there's still the allure of legacies out there. So, and finally, for the main award, the Game of the Year, the winner was Skye Team, and runners-up were In the Footsteps of Darwin and Captain Flip. I was, to name drop, talking to Mark Bigney of So Very Wrong About Games about this, and he brought up a good point that it's sort of hard to figure out what the Spiel is even awarding nowadays, because, the idea is that it's supposed to be a family game, and yet here they are giving the award to a 2-player only, no communication game. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of hard to square that circle. Although Skye Team is a game that I've played a number of times and have always enjoyed.
Mark Bigney doesn't believe in small families.
In 2-people families, I guess so. But
You heard
2
it here
people
first. Mark
2
Posada
people
says it.
2 people not talking. So I mean, can't be great for a family.
Who are you to judge, Mark?
That's true. That's a good point.
We know a lot
There are all
about your
kinds of families.
private relationships.
That's true. That's true. Have either of you played In the Footsteps of Darwin?
No.
Nope.
Okay. And then Captain Flip is the last one. This is a game by Paolo Mori and Remo Conzadori, which is a game that I have played actually quite a few times on BGA. I know we're in the middle of a game ourselves now, but it's actually a game that I have also enjoyed. It's super, super light. In talking about it again with Mark earlier, I was trying to use the term strategy in describing how you play, but then realized it was so light that you can't really, there isn't no real strategy in it. It's all, very tactical.
Yeah.
But a game that I found to be fun and very quick to play. I think it definitely is a game that benefits from being played electronically on BGA. I think it's probably, for as light as it is, maybe a little cumbersome for live plays, and how luck-based it is, it may be a little frustrating for live plays, but playing it on BGA has been an enjoyable, if a little bit of a trifle experience.
Yeah, I've also only played it on BGA, and I've also enjoyed it there. I kind of kept imagining that the mechanic of whether you decide to flip a tile or not would be better in person, but it's not like a table rousing sort of like, oh, what's on the other side? Like it's just not that. So
You're still sort of doing your own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I found it hard to imagine that it would be substantially better in live play myself.
Yeah, I would agree on that. But we're not talking about the here and now. We're talking about the past. We never look back, but now we are temporarily looking back. We're going to be doing a short-term look back, looking back at every single winner of the Spiel des Jahres, the Kennerspiel, and the Kinderspiel. So all those games are on the table. We're going to be doing a 5-round draft of the games, and you can go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft and pick the list that you like the best, and that will enable you to join a drawing for $50. So far, $50.
Doubled.
Sorry, yes. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I was trying to work it back down to 50, but no, it is up to 100. Wait, is it up to 100?
Yeah, we're at 100.
Yeah, okay. There's so much doubling going on that I'm confused. But currently $100. Maybe more if Kellen has his way. But $100 gift certificate to the online game seller of your choice. We've had winners all around the globe, so don't let your geography make you think that you are not eligible to win. And
Although if you are in Australia, your chances are apparently higher. That seems.
Yeah, we have a disproportionate amount of Australian winners. So Aussies, get at it. Put down the frocks and go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft if you even drink frocks. Do you even drink frocks? Because I do.
It sounded like it.
And go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft and pick the list you like the best. So let us pick an order. Does anyone want to go first?
Well, I think as the perennial loser, you get to choose. Neelan is our always winner, and I'm in the middle. But I do want to say that I picked Skye Team as a game to be the most, what was the list? Most relevant?
Most relevant. I think that's
right. Oh, yeah.
And it has now become even more relevant, so we could have a recount, maybe. We could skip the draft and then just revote on the last draft. And I'll double the money if we do that to 200. But no, so Mark, if you want to go first, you got it. If not, I will go first.
I will let you go first. I will let you go first.
Gentlemen.
So what? I'm getting the middle. I'm getting second pick.
No, you're getting a third.
Third pick.
I'm taking second. My prerogative is to pick first. I'm picking the second pick. Kellen is taking the first pick.
Okay.
I am. Yeah.
Okay, and Neelan will be going last.
And I'm ready to pick. We are headed back in time to a time when Mark was probably around 40 years old, but I was only 6. 1996, El Grande, lock it in, first pick. Are you kidding me? Even with the number 1 pick, this is value, this is money, the best area control board game ever created. Doesn't lose out even in the year of our Lord 2024. People love it now. It's more colorful than it used to be. It's in a smaller box than it used to be. You got the big box edition. You got the new edition. El Grande is love. El Grande is life. How could you not select it with number 1? Close this down. Award me the $200.
Okay, ready for my pick. So I'm going to go with a game that not only I think is probably among the very best games, if not the best game remaining on the list, maybe the best game on the list, period. But also, I think Although while not necessarily what we said in terms of like what we're drafting here, but I think also falls within the spirit of the Spiel in terms of like games that I think are accessible and welcoming and family games. I am going with, and Kellen has taken a guess and he's correct, I'm going with Codenames for my first pick. There are games certainly on this list that in retrospect are classics, are pillars of the board gaming world, and Codenames I think is the most recent one. I think it's the recent classic, and I think a no-brainer to select. So my first pick is going to go to Codenames.
I agree with you. My only thing is other people agree less with us. Like, we're the most right here, obviously.
Right.
Like, as much as we argue, we all agree that we're the number 1, number 2, and number 3 most correct board game personalities. You know what I mean?
In
but
some
outside
order.
of this, people have turned on Codenames.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know if people have turned on it so much as just
Burnt out a little bit?
burnt out. Yeah, I think that's more correct. Like, I don't think anyone's opinion has changed, but everyone has now played so much Codenames.
Yeah. But, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like I'm burned out on Codenames until I play another game of Codenames, and then I realize how good Codenames is.
I agree. It wouldn't have made it back had you.
Yeah. I think
Nealon would have double backed with it with a weird. You'd have picked Challengers and then Codenames, and then we would have laughed at him.
Yeah, exactly. I am going to go for what I think is... You know what I say? It's funny. Actually, I'm not convinced I would have picked Codenames just then, because I probably would have picked Azul first. But I think then
Azul, or you're
I am
talking
picking
about
Azul. I'm picking Azul.
Azul.
I'm picking Azul. Azul is good. Azul is great. In fact, Azul's fantastic. Like I don't think we need to really sing its praises any more than we have on the podcast. As much as we have, it's a lovely, lovely game. This is the 2018 winner. It's beautiful. It's tactile, and it continues to be. I mean, honestly, continues to be as good as it was when the first time I played it, which is pretty excellent.
But which version of Azul, though, Nealon?
I'm gonna say, like, look,
Is
as
this-
intended, the original Azul. Like,
As
You don't
the
think-
good Lord intended.
yeah.
You don't think that Azul has been eclipsed by all the
I don't
subsequent
actually.
Azuls
I
that have
genuinely
iterated
don't.
on it?
It was actually funny because Summer Pavilion just hit BGA recently, and as I play Summer Pavilion, I'm just reminded how much lesser it feels to original.
Oh, so you're
Azul.
saying Azul is a lesser game?
No.
I think that's what you just
No,
said.
no,
How much lesser it is.
Saying
We
Summer
heard him.
Pavilion.
Yeah, we heard him.
That is my first pick. I probably would have gone Codenames for my second pick here, but instead I'm going to go
thank you,
with
Nealon.
Dominion. Yeah, Dominion's incredible. Like, I think that Dominion is still remarkably one of the best deck builders there is in a space that has only, flourished over and over and over again. Stuff like Dune Imperium continues to rise up the ranks, but Dominion is still solidly one of the best deck builders ever made.
Boo.
I know
Because
Kellen
you picked
wanted
it.
this. Yeah.
No, Callan did want this.
I know.
I would have said, Daddy's home. You know what I mean? If it got to me.
Okay, I'm just going to keep going groundbreaking. You guys are picking whatever's. I'm going to go groundbreaking. And so far, you guys have stuck to the regular Spiel winners. I'm going to go to the Kenner Spiel, the hobbyist games. And I'm going to pick the biggest game in the last, 6 years, considering this is the 2019 winner, Wingspan. I'm going to go Wingspan. I just think it's, again, just a huge modern classic. Wingspan can't go 3 rounds. So,
Yeah,
go
I think
Wingspan.
that's a great pick.
I think that's a lame pick. I wouldn't have done it, actually. But it's interesting, right? Because I could now pick Quacks of Quedlinburg, which I just think is the same sort of thing, but more gamery for our audience. Again, and like worldwide appeal. Like if you're saying most relevant 10 years from now, but again, the people didn't reward me when I picked the most relevant list 10 years from now.
You think 10 years from now, Quacks is going to be bigger than Wingspan?
No, what I'm saying is if that was the list, it would be
Oh, I see.
Wingspan. But
I
I'm
see.
pandering, Mark. If nothing else, I'm good at pandering. But I'm not sure I'm picking Quacks yet because I said it and then Nealon smiled. So I saw a little smile on his face. So he's got something up his sleeve and I got to find it in this list. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know how this works? Doesn't seem like you do. Oh, this is where you make the critical blunder, right? Where you look at the list and you say, oh, yeah, I want to pick Rummy Cube from 1980, and then all the air sucks out of the room and everyone laughs at you. I am going to pick The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. This is a co-op trick-taking game. I feel like trick-taking is more relevant now than even when the crew came out. And a co-op game is always helpful. This is from the Kenner Spiel, a very deserving winner, and one I was thinking about bringing on my travels this weekend as one that could be played with the whole family. I don't know if this is reaching. Maybe this should be picked later, but I would just hate to not have it on my list. I think it is a great one. With my second pick, I like the dramatic pause. It's all bad. There's a lot of good choices. It just doesn't. Nothing makes you feel good anymore. With the second pick, I will pick Quacks of Quedlinburg. I'm going to bundle up 2018. Quacks of Quedlinburg. Mark, you picked 2019. I picked 2020, The Crew. There's some good games right in there. What happened? You know what I mean? Since then. These are good years. And then all of a sudden you're talking about Paleo. Think one of us is going to draft Paleo? You're out of your mind.
Speaking of what one of us are going to draft, I'm actually surprised Kellen didn't take this.
All right, take it.
This feels very Kellen to me. So I'm going to take it. Again, I'm doing the groundbreaking stuff. Another revolutionary game. I'm going Hanabi.
Yeah. Yeah. Japanese fireworks. Said with love,
Screams,
Mark.
Kellen.
Great choice.
Thank you.
So good I've drafted it multiple times in the same list.
That's true. That's true. That is a callback for long-time listeners. Can I say long-time listeners there?
Yeah,
Dylan? Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. This is actually one where I'm a little bit surprised and that Kellen has not picked this.
Kellen really dropping the ball, evidently.
Yeah, that's okay.
Probably make him mad, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of surprised. I think I'm going to go with Cascadia.
Yeah. I hate
That's a
Cascadia.
Kellen game?
I only because this is a callback to short-term listeners from the last draft where I spent like an hour trying to butter up Cascadia, but I hate it. So,
yeah, Cascadia is the 2022 winner. Yeah, I think Cascadia is great. Like, you know, it's not one I play a lot, but it's similarly whenever I play it, I'm like, man, this is just a good time. It's good and simple and rewarding in ways I like.
I'd rather be talking.
Say again?
I'd rather be talking.
Sorry, please continue.
No. Instead
rather
of
than playing.
Cascadia.
I see.
Again, like I get it, and it has a place. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
doing a game night for coworkers. Cascadia be a brilliant choice for people who don't want to play a party game but don't want to like sit down and play a hardcore game. It's perfect.
For my subsequent pick, I guess this is my fourth pick. I am going to. Yeah, this feels right. I like the idea of getting like a nice solid party game here. And I mean, Codenames is arguably the best one, but Just One I think is still rock solid as a mass appeal party game. I'm going to go with that.
Have either of you? And again, this is not meta. Nothing I do is meta. I just am genuinely chatting with my two bros. Have any of you had a good game of Just One?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god!
legitimately?
I don't think I've ever had a bad game of Just One.
It's like write one word, show the word, damn, and then they guess poorly, and that's the game. Like it's like selling tic-tac-toe in a box.
I think it's in the realm of like green team wins, where it's just like so light that you can teach it to everyone within 5 seconds, and everyone is just having a good time the entire time you're playing it.
I don't buy it. I actually legitimately don't get it with this one, and ever again, I own it because you. I just don't. I don't like where
like it feels like too much of an activity to you. Like, do you feel like there's no?
I mean, I like it when you have the maximum player count, but anytime you get like 5 or below, it's just like, it's just.
I mean, I think I would agree with that. I don't think I would play it with less than 5. I don't think I would play it with less than 5 personally.
Yeah, I think 5 works, but I don't think I would do it with 4.
But it's just like, okay, then you're like, okay, this is the perfect word game for 6 or 7 people, but well, maybe I'll consider something else at 5. Like, why do you own this? Why?
I think it's so specifically because it does really well in large groups. Actually, is the main reason.
With
to have
7, what is this large group, Neil?
Well,
have you ever been to a party?
I mean, I think it works well in very big groups as well, like with 10 or so people.
Well, you've bought 2 copies of this game so that you can play with.
No, you can.
You can't. You can't. It's
team up.
What do you team up? Team
Yes.
Just One?
Yes.
This is how much time you've spent
you-
playing Just One?
You have not played Just One until you play Team Just One. Partnership Just One. Okay, but it's back to me. You know what? I feel like sometimes you don't need to go for the home runs. Sometimes you just like a solid double. You know what I mean? Just a solid, you make contact with the ball and you just a solid hit. So in that vein, I'm going to go Camel Up. I think Camel Up is just a solid, really good game. And I think good for a Kenner or a Spiel des Jahres list.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick.
Super good game. And now this is one. It's like you guys are playing Just One. I'm over out there playing Camel Up. Which would you prefer?
Well, I'm playing Camel Up. You're playing
Oh, yeah, I'm not playing.
the crew.
Yeah. All right, so I get 2 picks here, eh?
Yeah, final 2.
I am... Oh, it's funny. Someone could pick Village, the most generic Euro game of all time, if you want to. But I dare you. I dare one of you to pick it and lose. I can't believe how popular that is. Anyway, for my first pick, I am going to pick a game that I just picked up because
Oh.
I
You're
was
going to go back to play it?
I was there. I'm going to
Yeah.
take it back to the Isle of Skye to play Isle of Skye. This is a game for Mr. Fister, okay? Accessible game. Auction game. This is
Underrated. This is underrated.
This is, yeah. I want to get just a little bit of substance on this list, right? I think Isle of Skye is very good. Underrated is not a good descriptive word for a draft of popularity, but I promise you, Isle of Skye, you would like this game. You should play it. It is definitely deserving of having won the Kenner Spiel. It is. The complexity to sort of rules ratio is super great. I think it's super, super great. And one that I recently picked up.
Yeah, I think I remember playing it most recently with you, Callan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And yeah,
Auction
great,
is
had a great time.
infuriating. It's
Still-
infuriating how
But,
frustrating you have to like price your own
right,
stuff.
right.
Hate it. For my last pick, I will sell out. I will sell out because we've already talked about it. I will pick the 2-player game Skye Team 2024, the hottest of the hotness. Everybody wants in right now. Come on down, vote for Big Red. Easy money. Skye Team, locking it in. You can't get hotter than Skye Team. That's what everyone's talking. I mean, you can. It's called Arcs, but you can't vote for Arcs in this one. So Skye Team it is. The big winner of the mainline award, the Spiel des Jahres. I don't even know how to say it. This is a good list.
No,
It is a good list.
It is
These
a
are all good lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit of like bland versus bland versus bland.
Don't say that. What are you talking
What?
about? What are you saying? Blame. Oh my
What do you
God.
mean? What am I saying?
Don't say that. That's for after the episode.
Oh, okay,
You don't
that's
say
for the
that
bonus.
on the episode. Bland versus bland versus bland. Now vote for one of them. My God.
Win money.
Yeah, I guess so. You want to up that? Maybe I'll back you on upping it now if you
Yeah.
said that. Okay. Well, my flavor of bland is going to be, I think, another, fundamental game. Another, again, I think classic. A game that has spawned a ton of other games in the same sort of vein, and that's going to be 2010's Dixit. I think this is, again, a game, if you play any games that have, interpret what this artwork means or some sort of, deception about artwork, they pay homage to Dixit. And Dixit still is a super fun game to play. Yeah, happy with Dixit as my 5th pick.
Totally agree.
I'm going to take a little bit of a tiny risk with this one. This is one that I get a sense is popular based on our Discord, and I think probably has only become more popular in the intervening year based on it existing on BGA, and that's Challengers. I love Challengers, to be quite honest. I think it's a really dumb but really unique game that I think has arrived with everyone I have played it with, except Kellen. Kellen hated it, but
That's not entirely true.
but I think it's a great time. I think it's very novel. Even if you're a jaded board gamer, you will probably find it a pretty novel experience. My hope is that it's only grown in popularity since the last time I polled anyone at large about it.
All right, so that's going to do it. Let's go over our list again. Kellen, you want to go first?
Yes, I do. El Grande. Mic drop right there. El Grande. The Crew, Quacks of Quedlinburg, the Isle of Skye, and Skye Team. Oh, double Skye.
I'm going to
Dream
go
with
with
me. Vote for me.
I'm going with Codenames, Wingspan, Hanabi, Camel Up, and Dixit.
And I have Azul, Dominion, Cascadia, Just One, and Challengers.
And so you can pick the one that you like the best. Go to boardgamebarrage.com/draft. Pick the one that you prefer, and you will be eligible for a $100 gift certificate to the online gaming store of your choice. And we will go over the winner in 2 weeks' time. So get your votes in as soon as you can. And that is going to do it for our show, our award-winning show, and a show talking about winning awards. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in discussing your favorite Spiel games or what you thought about the current Spiel winners or nominees, please go to boardgamebarrage.com/Discord. Join our Discord if you're not there already, and discuss them in our podcast channel where we discuss the current episode. And if you want to get a hold of us other means, you can email us at boardgamebarrage@gmail.com. We're on X and Facebook and all those kind of things, so find us there if you want. Thank you so much to Heart Society for our intro and outro song, What's on Your Mind, Kid? And until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.